Hey guys, it's Christine Dargan, and I'm back to tell you guys a slight game review. Review of a game commentary of a game. Um, so recently I sat down and I watched The Last of Us. The game, where I watched it was on YouTube, and the person who put the playthrough up, obviously, is one of my most I mean, he is one of my favorite YouTubers on like the face of this planet, and that is Markiplier. If you guys have not watched some of his playthroughs or even watched him play a game, it's really entertaining. He's a really funny guy, and I'm telling you guys should really subscribe to him. I shouldn't say you should subscribe to him. I'm just gonna tell you this: check him out, see what you think, and if you want to be a subscriber like me, and subscribe. If you don't, but he's a really awesome guy. He's recently he recently had a few bouts of illness, but he's back to gaming now, and I'm just really happy to see him in better health. And I'm just really happy to see that he's doing okay. But what I like to focus on today is that I'm going to do a quick review of a game commentary that Markiplier did on The Last of Us. Sorry, a little hot. Um, I well, I just got my hair done like 3 weeks ago. This is how it's looking. It's a little fuzzy because my natural hair is poking out through my braid, so my hair is going well. That's out of the way. The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a survivalist zombie I would slight horror game. I wouldn't really call it a horror. I've seen some scarier games, especially with me watching Markiplier's videos. I'm for sure that there's definitely scarier games, but The Last of Us is really story driven, and it's based upon a zombie epidemic. In The Last of Us, there are zombies. They are not there. How it came about is through a fungus. I cannot particularly remember what type of fungus they said it was in the game, but it's basically a fungal infection, and it causes tumors or some type of mutation in the brain, and in which a person basically loses their ability to control their bodies, and they become zombies basically. In the story, there is a whole great cast of characters, um but the two main characters is Ellie and Joel. Now, how this all begins is that this epidemic is set in the year um 2019. I want to say it's somewhere around 2019. But in the beginning of the game, it goes 20 years in the past. And what happens is that, which is somewhere around 2014. So it's not 2019. I'm sorry. I'm doing really bad at this. But anyway, in the beginning of the game, it's 20 years in the past. Joel is with his daughter. It's on his birthday, or his birthday's coming up, and his daughter gives him a present, and everything seems fine. All of a sudden, um, his daughter, who I cannot remember her name right now, wakes up in the middle of the night to find that they are in a crisis situation. People are turning into zombies. Um, so Joel and his brother and his daughter, they try to leave, and everything is just going to pot. People are running through the streets. There are zombies just attacking people and turning people into the infected or just eating them. The military has told everybody to basically evacuate to the highway, in which they will probably be transported or be directed to a major city, Pittsburgh. Some of the cities that pops up is Pittsburgh, Salt Lake City, and a few others that I can't name right now. But they're basically evacuated to another area. The story takes place in the beginning in Texas. I don't know where in Texas, but I kind of get the feeling it's in Texas. And as he is escaping from his town, and they get towards the highway, and everything seems okay until he meets a military person. And sadly, what happens is that through fear, the military person ends up shooting his daughter, to which she dies. Now, we go 20 years into the present, and the infection has basically claimed a whole lot of people, and people have now been reduced to living in survivalist camps, cities, and towns, basically. Um, so Joel is living basically, I want to say in Pittsburgh or somewhere in a major city. Listen, I don't remember names like that, like city names and whatnot like that. But he's basically been reduced to living there, and he basically runs a small little like smuggling organization with this woman named Tess. So to make a long story short, I'm telling you guys, really check out the game. I can't tell you everything. But basically, they come across a little girl. The little girl is immune, and he has to smuggle her to a location. I believe the first time is in Salt Lake City, to a university. No, it's in Montana. A university in Montana. So, so they go on this journey, and of course they encounter zombies, and one of the zombies ends up biting Tess, and Tess dies. At first, Joel wants to just give up. He wants to go back home, and he doesn't want to do it anymore. The girl convinces him to keep going on the journey, so they keep going on the journey, and they encounter more zoms, and eventually they get to a city that they think that they're safe in. Well, no, first they meet up with this guy named Bill. I can't tell you the whole entire story. He's a little crazy. He gives them a car. They travel to another city, and they encounter mercenaries or raiders or thieves or whatever you want to call. Just people who is they're not they're not for your good, and they basically um, hunt them down. So Joel and Ellie is basically just trying to hide from these people and trying to get to a bridge so that they can cross through the town. They meet up with two other people called Henry and Sam. And Henry and Sam, they help them out, they help them hide out. And at first they betray them, and then they're back on good terms, and then they keep going on. And then along the way, Sam gets bitten. Bad, bad, bad stuff. Sam turns. Henry kills himself because he has to kill his brother. They keep going on their journey. Eventually, they meet up with Joel's brother, who was once a Firefly, somewhere in the history of in the past, and he's no longer a Firefly, and he runs like a little camp. And his brother points him in the direction to the Fireflies. They go to the university, and they find out that the Fireflies left, and now they have to go to some place. I want to say it's in California, or well, they go to this. They go to a hospital called Santa Maria, or Santa Marie, or Santa Mary, or something Saint M. So, while they're heading out, they counter another little rebel group that wants to kill them. Like always, the people basically is the main problem of the zombie apocalypse. There are zombies, and they are a problem, but they're more like an environmental problem, like how if you're going through the woods and there's wolves, you know, they're a problem. Are they the top, are they like the main problem? Probably not. I mean, they're just a part of the environment, you know what I mean? But they're a problem. So they encounter rebel people at the university. Joel gets seriously hurt, and Ellie has to take care of him. Winter comes, and Ellie is basically still trying to take care of Joel, and she happens to come across this guy named David. I'm going to tell you straight up, I knew he was bad news since the beginning. He just had this air about him that was just bad. Okay? I mean, he was just too nice. When you see the game, if you see the game, you'll know what I mean. There's just something about people who are just too nice to you. But anyway, as the game goes on, you discover that David is a cannibal as well as a rapist of some sort. I think he kind of has a liking for children, so a pedophile, but I'm pretty sure that he rapes grown people too, so a rapist, period. So, you discover that he's that, and that the group of people that he's with, Joel and Ellie, has been killing them. So David kind of takes her and he's just like, join the group so I could really rape you. But join the groups, because it will save your life. And Ellie's like, no, you're crazy. All of you are crazy. You're going around killing people, eating them. I don't want to join you. So eventually she gets locked up, obviously, like usual. And Joel, even though hurt, and I mean, once again, see the game to see what happens to Joel. I ain't telling you all the details. I'm telling you a great amount of it, considering. But, and then Joel, he wakes up and he goes find her. And some more bad stuff happened. David ends up dying. I should not have told you that. Spoiler alert! David ends up dying, and eventually they get to the university, and I'm not going to tell you the end because then I have already spoiled so much for you people. All right, you're going to have to watch the end for yourself, but it's a really good story. And when I came towards the end of the story, I was reading some of the comments that was on Markiplier's page of what fans have thought about the game, and I know that and somebody happened to ask this question which is going to be the main topic of this video, or the latter part of this video, is that why do zombie movies suck? And I wanted to explain to you guys how to make a really good zombie movie. Okay. Like most stories, every story has a good tension. There was a good conflict at every story, whether it is physically, mentally, psychologically, spiritually. There is a conflict in every story. There is no story that doesn't have a conflict, because without conflict, a character cannot change, and that is what makes a story a story. A character must change somewhere between the beginning and the end. Whether it's all the way in the beginning and you just see the change to the end, or it's all the way at the end and you see who they were until they change. But either way, the story is basically showing readers the development of a character, whether it is many developments like in novels where a character can change multiple times, or it's a very short development like a short story where a character just changes one time. Either way, that's how you make a story. Now, what seems to be the fault with zombie movies 9 times out of 10 is that most of the time zombie movies, they have zombies in it. There will be tension, there will be some type of horror or adrenaline based rush to it. That is what zombie movies are supposed to be about. But the reason why zombie movies are not, or what I should say, most zombie movies are not very strong, is because they lack a story. Most of the time when you see with zombie movies only focus on zombies. And the thing about zombies is that they do not change. They do not have personalities. They do not think. Zombies are pretty static characters. Therefore, it is hard for you to really be into a zombie movie from beginning to end if the whole entire focus of the movie is on zombies. That's the reason why when you see a B-rated zombie movie with characters that basically just scream throughout the whole entire movie and they're just running and hiding and they don't do anything to develop themselves, it could be boring, or it's just a B-rated movie. It's just another flick. It's not a film, it's a flick. That's also another thing I'll be explaining in another video. The difference between flicks, films, and movies. There is a difference. I will teach you what that difference is. But not to say that zombie movies are um, are not entertaining. They are entertaining. If you're just sitting there to just watch and not think, then hey. Sometimes you want to go to a movie to just watch it. You just want to be a spectator. But for those of you that wants to really like observe a movie to really think while you're watching it, um, there are certain things you have to look for if you're into zombie movies. Number one, how to make a really good zombie movie. The reason why The Last of Us is such a great story, the reason why we are so attached to the characters, the reason why we love The Last of Us is not because of the fungal infection, but it is because of the people who lives in the world which the fungal infection is developed in. In the beginning of the game, the problem with the fungal infection is obviously how quickly it developed. But what really, really became the really focus and the real conflict and the real um, heart throbbingness of it is Joel's protection of his daughter. It wasn't that there were zombies running throughout the street and that chaos ensued. It was that we desired to protect Joel's daughter at any cost. And when Joel's daughter died to the hands of not an infected, but a person who was not infected, a military soldier, that turns that just turns the whole entire story on the dial. What it bas- what the writer is basically telling us is that before he even shows you the story, is that the problem is not the infection. It's the people in the infected world that are not that are not physically infected but are infected psychologically. That is the problem. And when you play the game or when you happen to watch the game, you'll see that for yourself. Like Markiplier often spoke throughout the gameplay was that he always had a problem fighting the humans. And when you see throughout the game, sure, there are zombies in the game, but the main problem that Joel encounters 9 times out of 10 is the people. They are the main problem of the game. You only get a few serious zombies. I mean, sure, you have a regular zombie, you have a clicker, and you have a bloater. But look at all of the humans that caused Joel to. I mean, it's really the people that are the problem. What I'm trying to say is this: when you make a zombie movie that focuses upon static characters, it's only going to go so far. You can only push it so far. But when you focus a story based upon the people that's in the world of the zombies, you have billions of stories. In The Last of Us, there are mercenaries, there are military people who are abandoning cities and basically shooting people if they believe that they were infected. You have fireflies, which is kind of like the extremist people, and you base and you just have a whole collection of just really messed up survivalist people. The only thing that these people care about is themselves. The only thing that they care about most is I have to live the next day. What I say goes. What I believe in is what counts. They don't care about anything else. The zombies in some instances is kind of like that, but but the zombies are not that much of a threat because number one, they tend to they tend to be in they tend to be underground 9 times out of 10 because that's where the fun because obviously fungus grows underground. They tend to prosper down there. So if you don't really go underground most of the time, or you know, or no, let's just most of the time you're gonna live. Let me put it this way: if you know how to handle yourself, you know where the fungus grows, and you know their behavior. You could live. I mean, now when it comes to fortune, luck and chance, and yeah, that might kill you. Like if there's several hundreds of them and you're all by yourself, you're gonna die sooner or later, obviously. But what I'm saying is this, is that what makes The Last of Us great, and I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to get at, which is the reason why I'm going to actually pull up a quote that I wrote on this, because I actually wrote a quote on this. But what makes it really bad in The Last of Us is not the zombies, but the people. They are unpredictable. I mean, like, clickers are unpredictable too, but there's still a predictability to them. For the most part, the infected, they just want to eat. That's basically it. And villains in The Last of Us is because of our complexity, because there's so many layers to us, because there's so many secrets that we hold within ourselves. It's very hard for Joel or Ellie to really understand and even to trust anybody. Like, who really knows if you can trust anybody in this world? So um I don't know if you guys understand what I'm getting at. I know I'm a very confusing person, it's true. I hope that you guys are. But I'm basically just going to read this quote that I put up on here, and maybe you guys will understand what I'm getting at. I agree with what others have said about the ending of the game. Humanity has basically took a downward spiral, and though you could save people, think of the people you are allowing to live and pass on their legacy. Is the world really better with such people in it? Additionally, another thing we overlook sometimes is that Joel lost his daughter to people, not the infection. Therefore, he has more beef with the people of the world than the infected. He doesn't care as much about the infection as others do. While he did lose some people to the infection, he lost his closest loved one to people, therefore putting people at the top of his threat list. Joel, in all honesty, doesn't care as much about the infection as others. One could see this throughout the game, since he started opening up to Ellie later on. Most of the time, he has talked about the infection in terms of family times, how it breaks people up, mutate them into zombies, how it breaks people up and mutate them not into zombies, but into inhumane beings, which for him is worse than the zombies, also showed through the playthrough. Mark had a harder time with the people in the world than the zombies. The zombies were a problem, but it was the people who made it worse. The soldiers abandoning towns and cities to leave the survivors to be killed by the infected, causing the epidemic to rise. The mercenaries or raiders that stormed afterwards, bringing death and chaos to the living. The cannibal rapists that sought out only for their good, and yes, to a certain extent, even the fireflies, the extremists who were too optimistic to see the real world in front of their eyes. These people make living in a world of zombies that much worse. People were unwilling to work with each other, always looking out for their own good, and killing those who disagree with their point of view, are the real villains of the zombie apocalypse. Sure, there are good people in it, but if the cannibals, thieves, and extremists of the world don't compromise or even seek to do good unto others, what does it matter? This game teaches us that we are already infected, not by the fungus, but by our fear, our hatred, our greed. The only thing the zombies did was make it more apparent. If we cannot get along with each other, the zombies will not finish us off, but we will. Finally, in a world like this, there is bound to be more immune people popping up sooner or later. Therefore, would you rather wait till evolution takes its place and makes us immune, or give it to people who don't value life and existence as precious emblems? Alright, so those are my thoughts on The Last of Us. I know I didn't explain much about how to make a good zombie movie, but this is the only thing that you need to know. If you want to make a good zombie movie, story, situation, doesn't matter. Here is 2 tips for you. Number 1, characters, characters, characters. Always have good characters. Develop your characters. If you want to make a good movie, period, or a good story, have realistic characters. Have characters that actually has flaws to them. A lot of the times when I see problems with modern movies and modern books, they want to make the characters perfect. They're already popular. They're already beautiful. They already have everything going for them. I mean, sure, you can make. I mean, sure. I guess there's a positive to that, but make your characters flawed, okay? Make your characters crazy. Make them have some insecurity or something. Flawed characters are the greatest characters. That includes villains as well. The best villain is not a villain that you hate, because those are just common villains. The reason why we hate Jafar and all of the Disney villains is because from the beginning of the story, you just hate them. You just see them as bad people. Those are not the best villains. The best villains are the ones that you, in a sense of yourself, agree with. They're the villains that you want something good to happen for them, and you know that they're doing just the worst and baddest thing, but there's a part of you that's just like, but they're like me. That is the best villain. Those are the greatest villains in stories and movies. You check out any movie that had a great villain, the reason why they're great is because you see yourself in the villain. Now, finally, the last advice for creating a great zombie apocalypse: do not focus on the zombies. Focus on the people in the zombie apocalypse. Anyway, that's the end of this video. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.